Okay, next we got freaking Rugrats the movie for the Game Boy, I think, yeah. Is this game any good? Freaking no. This one is like a 4 out of 10 game. There's some buggy glitches in this game. It's a very stiff platforming game, a 2D platform, where you gotta avoid all these obstacles and stuff, or enemies, objects, because the enemies are basically just like objects being thrown at you and stuff. But yeah, it's a very very hard game. I got to maybe like level 7. Like I got past the one level we got to drive away in the reptile truck or reptile baby wagon. So I got to that level and then past that with some kind of I guess baby daycare level. I don't remember a baby daycare level in the movie, but it's in the game. Maybe he's supposed to be the hospital from the movie. Maybe, I don't know. But freaking Rugrats for the Game Boy, it's a very, very challenging game. You don't have any way to fight the enemies, so you just gotta avoid their attacks and avoid getting hit by random objects. But yeah, 4 out of 10. If you like hard games, maybe get this game. But other than that, skip it. Freaking skip it. Then we got Tech Deck for the Game Boy Color. Tech Deck is actually a pretty decent Tony Hawk game for the Game Boy Color. It's actually better than Tony Hawk for the Game Boy Color. This game, unlike Tony Hawk for the Game Boy Color, this game allows you to see different moves and tricks that the Tech Deck does. So this game, you can do like 360 spins, ollies, grind on rails and stuff. You can either play the story mode or you can play the free-to-play mode where you just do different tricks and have fun. It's a solid skateboarding game. I give it like a 7 out of 10. Then here's actually Tony Hawk Pro Skater for the Game Boy Color. This game is actually not as good as Tech Deck. This game, when you do a trick, instead of actually showing you how to do the trick or showing you the move, it shows you a PNG or a JPEG of a cattle doing the animation. So it's not even doing any animation, it just shows you a JPEG. So you just do a combination of tricks, and then you see a JPEG of your cattle doing the move. So, wow, so cool. It's like if you play like Mortal Kombat and you do the combo to do a fighting move, instead of actually showing the animation of doing like the final kill, or like, what is it called? Finish him. Finish him, where you gotta do like a combination of moves to finish your opponent in Mortal Kombat. Imagine that, but instead of having an animation play out, it's just a JPEG of your cattle doing it. So it's not even a motion GIF or anything like that. It's a JPEG, just a still image of him killing the enemy using that finishing attack. That's this game. That's freaking Tony Hawk Pro Skater for the Game Boy Color. This game is not as fun as Tech Deck, but it's more of a racing game than a skateboarding game. So the story mode of this game is a racing game where you got to get to the end goal before all the opponents, but at the same time you got to do a bunch of tricks. You got to collect VHS tapes, get points, all that stuff. So it's a racing game where you got to get points in order to finish a race and win. So you can get first place. You can get first place. But if you don't have enough points, then you're not the first place winner. You're now in the second place or third place, or even the fourth place winner, even though you got first place. So getting first place isn't the end-all be-all goal in this game. So it's good in that aspect, but you still don't see the animations for doing tricks. It's just a JPEG every single time. So yeah, out of 10, I'll freaking give this game a 6. It's 1 point below a 7, which was Tech Deck. Tech Deck is a better skateboarding game. If you want a better skateboarding game for the Game Boy Color, get Tech Deck. Okay, freaking next up, we got Rugrats Paris. Man, the person who owned this collection of Game Boy Color and Game Boy games really loved Rugrats. They just freaking love Rugrats. Rugrats in Paris for the Game Boy Color is a minigame collection. It's a bunch of cheap minigames. It's okay. It's like a 5 out of 10. I didn't hate all the minigames, but did not like go out of your way and play this game minigames. Like it's just a bunch of filler content. It's filler. Nothing horribly bad, but not great either. Then again, you paid $40 for this game brand new, so $40 for a bunch of bland minigames, not worth it at all. So yeah, it's like a 5 out of 10, 4 out of 10, depending on how you see it. Moving on. Rugrats Totally Angelica for the Game Boy Color. This game is also a minigame collection, except for the minigames are actually kind of good. Some of the minigames are actually pretty good. So this game actually gets a this game gets like a 6 out of 10, maybe, for like the minigame genre of games for the Game Boy Color. But yeah, the minigames are actually pretty decent for this game. I wouldn't, again, go out of my way to play this game too much. So it's like somewhere between a 5 and a 6. It's close to a 5 and it is to a 7. But it's a Rugrats Totally Angelica minigame collection. And also, this game is geared towards, more towards, girls because it's a dress-up game. So, depends how you feel about that. Because you gotta collect clothing to dress up Angelica. I mean, it's not completely a girly goal dress up game. There's also a bunch of fun mini games that anyone of any demographic can play. But this game, it's mostly a dress up game for the end goal, be all goal, because you gotta dress up Angelica and all that stuff. But yeah. Next we got freaking Cats for the Game Boy Color. Boy, Cats. It's the same exact game as Dogs for the Game Boy Color, except for this game you play with cats. And it's the same exact cat for every single model in this game, so it doesn't matter what breed of cat you get. It's the same exact cat, except for it has a different texture or different color palette. Again, this is like a 2 out of 10 game. You pay $40 this game brand new, and this game only has like 5 minutes worth of content. And when you're done with that game, there's nothing else to do. So yeah, not the best, pet simulator game. If you want a good pet simulator game, get freaking 10 cats and 10 dogs for the, DS. Next we got freaking Pac-Man collection for the Game Boy Advance. This is the game we got for Christmas. And, this game is actually very good. It's an arcade collection of, Pac-Man games. You got Pac-Man. You got Pac-Man. And you got Pac-Man. Well, there's like 4 different Pac-Man games. One of them is like a Tetris clone. Another one is the special power-up Pac-Man game, where there's like a mission mode and you gotta fight Talkman at the end of it. And then you also got freaking auto Pac-Man games, like Pac-Man 3D Madness or something like that. But yeah, it's a very good Pac-Man collection. Now 10, I give it like an 8. Very fun. Miss Pac-Man is not in this game because, of course, she's not. There's a big giant license debacle of Miss Pac-Man, so of course she wouldn't be in the Pac-Man collection. But still, she's not in it. So don't expect Miss Pac-Man to be in the Pac-Man collection. Just don't. And then next up, we got freaking Pac-Man collection. Okay, we haven't talked about this game yet, but Pac-Man collection. It's a freaking amazing game. You can play as Pac-Man. You can play Pac-Man. You can also play more Pac-Man. Bet you're wondering what about this. So for context, I got freaking 2 copies of Pac-Man collection because, long story short, both me and my sister both got Game Boy Advances, and my mom decided for one Christmas to buy us both a Pac-Man collection for the Game Boy Advance. I don't know why she did this, but she did. And because my sister doesn't play Game Boy Advance games anymore, she gave it to me. So, yeah, now I got 2 copies of freaking Pac-Man collection. But still, why'd she even buy 2 copies of Pac-Man collection? I guess she thought, like, oh, they're gonna fight over Pac-Man, so I'm gonna give them both Pac-Man so they can both play Pac-Man at the same time. I guess? Maybe? Seems like a waste of money to me, but okay. Okay, Dad.